This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant. Available now online for you to learn at your own pace with a certificate available upon completion. Click the link in the show notes to access today for just €50. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of a series that I'm very proud to bring you with my friend, Todd McCarthy from Full Spectrum Coffee Roasters. Welcome to the podcast again, Todd.
Amazing, mate. Hello, thanking you. I've jumped ship since we spoke last.
Correct. So why don't you tell everyone, when you were on the podcast last, where were you and now where are you and how did that happen?
Yeah, we were talking about the challenges that the industry had faced in when I was at then what was Supply Coffee, which was my cafe roastery. And since then, we've sort of separated the cafe and the roasting space. And I've gone really deep into what we're going to be talking about today, which is, sort of creating your own coffee brand. The coffee brand is now Full Spectrum.
Yeah.
We will be very sure to pop the website down in the show notes. So, I love it.
So if you're in Australia and you're looking to send gifts to anybody around Australia, or if you're overseas and you're looking to send somebody a gift in Australia, do it through Full Spectrum. I'm a big fan of this brand. I've watched this come to life. And I have to say, right at the top of this whole series, I'm crazy proud of what you've created. You've earned every second of the success that's coming your way.
Thank you very much, Matt.
It's
very early days.
It is very early days, but I would recommend that everybody go take a look at the brand. It's incredibly impressive. And we're going to talk about the process of bringing a coffee roasting brand to life in this series because it's very different today than it was, let's say, even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic. So as we go through this series talking about launching a coffee roasting brand, today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of roasting a coffee roasting of roasting a coffee roasting brand, of launching a coffee roasting brand. So Todd, why don't you tell us through this journey, what have been some of the pros and cons that you've experienced?
Pros and cons. Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
You choose.
There's plenty either side. There's plenty. Let's start with the good stuff, hey?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just start strong. I guess the biggest pro for me at the moment is it's your opportunity. You know, it's your opportunity to demonstrate your skill set, your expertise, and your roasting philosophy. That's sort of that's the huge pro. But I mean, starting your own coffee brand, it really allows you to express your creativity and really develop a unique brand identity as well. Mm-hmm. That creativity, I mean, that was, I feel as if it's something that's really sort of just been let out of the box, you know, in this last 12 months. It's perhaps creativity that I didn't really expect that I had, that I possessed, you know, but here we are, and I'm so incredibly happy with how it's all turned out. But I mean, the pros and more on the pros. So the creativity and the branding then sort of goes on to the personalization of your brand as well. And dare I say it, passion, you know? If you have a genuine passion for coffee, starting your own brand really allows you to immerse yourself in something that you really truly love. You can personalize your coffee offerings to cater to a very specific taste or taste preferences, and even sort of then get into really niche markets as well.
You know, it's interesting that you say creativity and personalization, because I know you and I know how you are when you think about business. And I remember having conversations with you about this being an opportunity to tell your story and to tell...
Hugely.
You know, kind of what is the story that you want this brand to have? And, you know, in upcoming episodes, we're going to talk about things like going to Coffee Origin and all that kind of stuff. Tell us how you use creativity to go ahead and kind of tell that story through the brand, just really quickly as a part of helping to demonstrate that.
Absolutely. Well, my previous coffee label supply was really based around sort of putting the producer group really front and center. But what I've noticed in that what has really developed in the last 5 years is there has become a bit of a disconnect between consumer and the communication channel between producer and consumer. And people do it very well, of course, but what I have since discovered is that is that for everyone? Is that transparency for everyone? So the creativity point of view, the creativity was a way for me to be able to demonstrate all of these coffees in a really different way. You know, of course it still has the producer as a huge part of it. But I use characters, I use colors, I use music as a way as a vessel to really
tell the story,
sort of showcase the brand. It is another level of connection that the brand is able to provide to the consumer, you know, and it's the connection through those colors and the sights and the sounds and all that sort of stuff. So I never thought it would ever look like this, you know, is because coming from my heritage of really sort of it's always about transparency and just making sure producers front and center. So this is a very different feel to how I ever anticipated it to be, you know, and I think I'll talk about a little bit later is competition, and that is another way to be able to stand apart from your competition as well. Is having a really sort of mixed media approach to sort of communicating to other people through coffee.
What are some of the cons of releasing, or I guess of launching a coffee roasting brand?
No. Okay, the cons. Unfortunately for everyone listening and watching at home, it's the cost of resources. You know, I have at times in the last 12 months, I have really felt like I'm strapped to the top of a rocket, and the burners, the jet engines, are using cash as fuel. Yep. Unfortunately, that is just the case. You know, I have created a brand that cost me $5,000. And I've created a brand that cost me $45,000. So seeing those side by side, I mean, they're two totally very different things. So that is a huge, it's very capital intensive. Another one would be, as I said earlier, is competition. I mean, the coffee industry is highly competitive, with really well-established brands and a really saturated market. So it can be really challenging to really differentiate yourself and to gain market share, especially in those areas that have a huge amount of coffee shops and really well-established players. So we've got the competition, we've got the capital investment. Another one is quality control as well. And really maintaining the consistency of the quality that is really crucial for building a really reputable coffee brand. It involves sourcing really high quality coffees and really just ensuring that it's roasted correctly and that you're just delivering really consistent flavor profiles. And I guess another con would be really just keeping up to date with the market. And people really just they need to feel as if there's something always continually developing and is new as well. So we've got a couple of things in the pipeline, and that's what I really suggest, is just having a couple of projects that you keep on working at that are able to be released sort of in 3-month intervals or 6-month intervals, just to make sure that everything seems as if it's fresh. Sure, it looks the same. We're using the same characters and we're using the same colors, but there might be some little tweaks to either you're releasing convenience products, for instance. There's a huge array of ways that you can come across as being really progressive, but not having to spend wild amounts of money outside of that initial capital.
It's the one thing that I really enjoyed watching you go through this process of like cultivating and nurturing this baby, but while it was being ready to be born, was you going outside of the constraints of what the typical way of doing this would be?
Very much so, yes. Yeah. And part of the capital investment was getting together with people who are branding people who are just really industry leading, you know, and they are the most important people, and they're the people that sit down with you and take the time to understand who you are and the difference that you want to make. It's then their job to compile everything that through those conversations that you have with them and provide you with options of visual options, verbal options. But yeah, they're the people that they're the vessel that will carry your thoughts, your emotions, and present it into a beautiful brand for you.
So that's the pros and cons of launching the brand, excuse me, of launching the roasted coffee brand. Then there's the stuff that goes inside the bag. And that's part of the craftsmanship that you as the coffee roaster bring. Folks, in the next episode, we're going to talk about how the craftsman, the coffee roaster, makes a decision about how they're going to roast that coffee, because, you know, people have their philosophies around roasting coffee. And if that's not aligned with the people who are going to buy it, we're in trouble. You don't have a business after that. So join us in the next episode, folks, where we're going to talk about that. Thanks, Todd. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, friends. There are 2 ways you can support this podcast. Firstly, become a paid member of our YouTube channel. Secondly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you leave, and check the show notes for more information. Now, this is what you should check out next.